Welcome back to another episode of the Shoecast show. If this is your first time listening, thank you for tuning in. This is a podcast where we interview and talk everything related to shoes. My name is Chase. I'm here with my co-host today, Landon, and we will be talking to Nova, or better known as botterboynova. He's a sneaker reseller with over 120, actually 130,000 subscribers on YouTube at the time of this recording. He has a Netflix quality YouTube series called Sneakers to Riches, where he records himself buying limited sneakers and using manual and botting methods. How's it going, Nova?
Hey, doing pretty good. Really appreciate that intro. Very nice.
We couldn't even capture all of it, man, but that's what we came up with. But first off, we just wanted to say, congrats on becoming the co-owner of Notify. We'll get more into that later in the episode. But for our first question, how does it feel to see such growth in your followers from less than a year ago to where you were at just only around like 1,000 subscribers to where you're at now?
It's super duper shocking. Like maybe 2 years ago, I would have never imagined this is what I'm doing for a living. But on the other side of it as well, I'm not too surprised about the results because I work so freaking hard. Like people don't realize what goes on behind the scenes. They think it's as simple as dropping a video, but there really is a lot that goes on behind the scenes for me to make this possible and for me to keep it going. So yeah, I'm really happy about the results, but at the same time, like this is what 15 hours of working does. Like results happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can definitely see it in the results of the series. But so how old are you, and when did this become full-time for you?
I can't disclose how old am I, but to give people an idea, I've graduated college a few years ago. I'm a lot older than I visually look. I went full-time on YouTube last year on April 2019, around there. Yeah, that's about it.
Cool, man. That's awesome. So, what were some of the things that you liked to do whenever you were young? Did you know that you always wanted to be a content creator from the beginning, or did that just kind of happen over time?
Well, something that I was really into was video editing. I've been video editing ever since I was like 10, 11 years old. The thing that really inspired me to get into it was Call of Duty montages. If you remember, maybe like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago, like the Call of Duty montages were like huge on YouTube. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to make videos like that. So that's how I started with video production and video editing. But that's something that I've stuck with for a really long time, just making videos, getting better at my craft. And I was really into gaming. And yeah, I did YouTube for quite a long time now. I think I maybe have a dozen YouTube channels, like all like different topics. And I don't know, I just make a lot of YouTube channels for like the different games that I play. And yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past few years, or several years rather. It feels like time kind of flew by.
Right.
But yeah, I've been making videos for a long time. And also to supplement that, I've always been into business and economics and finance and things of that nature. That's what I studied in college, small business management. And that just ties into absolutely everything that I'm doing.
Wow, it sounds like the perfect mesh. But from your videos, you have a very relatable and humble personality. Is there a reason why you promote being humble and transparent about your botting experience? Because it doesn't really seem that it's a very common thing in the reseller community.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, a lot of people are tired of the whole flexing YouTube sneaker thing, right? Like you see this all the time. Like, why would I try and put myself, like align myself with those people when I could just be myself? Because there's a few things about some people who make it big on social media. They have their social media personality, and then they have their real life personality. And oftentimes I see that if they're in this kind of predicament, then they kind of get lost who they really are as a person, because people who make it big on social media, it's not an easy job. Like a lot of people think it's like really easy, but I can tell like they work so many hours, so it's very easy to lose touch of who you really are. And that's something that I try not to try not to do. I want to be myself. Like like whatever I'm doing in front of the camera would most likely be the same person I'm doing, or same things that I'm doing outside of the camera. I don't want to be fake, Just stay true to myself. And if you like me, then that's dope. If you don't like me, then that's dope too. Whatever you want, but I'm gonna be myself. So, yeah.
That's cool, man. And that's something that, especially in this society as we kind of evolve, something that kind of gets lost, over time is you get caught up trying to be, oh, this guy is copping 100 pairs, I want to cop 101, or just to show it off, just to rub it in. But so just kind of piggybacking off that, what is your opinion kind of on the the sneaker community on Twitter and like social media and stuff like that? You kind of touched on it, but like, how do you feel that you are in a midst of all that's going on for sneakers right now on social media?
I'm going to be honest, even though like digital marketing and social media is like one of my areas of expertise, I think it is important not to spend too much time on social media, even though that's literally what I do. I own a social media company.
Right.
And but the thing is, when people talk about you, when a lot of people talk about you, they can be good things, they can be bad things, there can be some lies, some rumors that aren't true. If you just look at all of these things, it's going to drive you nuts. You wouldn't be able to get anything done. And for many people, it's very easy to say, oh, just ignore the haters, right? That's what everybody says, just ignore the haters. But unless you're a psychopath, it doesn't really matter who you are. These things are going to get to you, because if somebody talks bad about you, obviously your first reaction would be like, yo, what are you talking about? That's not true or whatever. So what I like to do, I like to try to stay away from social media as much as possible. It's just so that I can get my work done, because at the end of the day, it's a distraction, and my job is to produce content for people, for YouTube, just to provide entertainment and also to help people out. And now in my group.
Yeah, right. And it's always, it's never easy to always, that's what they call them, kind of like keyboard warriors. They just kind of hide behind their screen, and they're just, because anyone can make an anonymous account and say that you do this or that, and they don't realize that what they're doing can like actually affect people's lives and stuff like that. So it's easier said than done. That's kind of the point you're getting across.
Yeah. And like people, over the internet, people just lose all sense of humanity. And celebrities, or I wouldn't call myself a celebrity, but like famous people, they're like not human anymore, like to other people. It's difficult to describe it, and I can understand why it happens, but it's important not to get like too caught up into the whole like drama and beefing in social media.
It's just jealousy. That's all it is. It normally stems from jealousy, if we're being honest.
But
100%.
What was the main reason you wanted to create the Sneakers to Riches series?
When I was starting out selling sneakers, I was like, oh, you know what would be really helpful? If somebody made a vlog. So I was looking this up, like, really, I was thinking to myself, really, nobody is doing this, like a vlog of how they buy and sell sneakers. Like, well, one thing I really like is I'm a big fan of like documentary series. Like, if you like missing persons cases and like serial killer documentaries, I don't know, I'm into that stuff, man.
Yeah, right.
And the way they present these things, and like following around a family or something like that about how they live is really interesting to me. So I decided to combine that with a vlogging kind of feel to it. So I was like, okay, nobody's doing this. So and I like making videos, and I found an opportunity to put myself into YouTube, being that no one is doing this, and I'm sure there's a lot of people looking for this stuff, just like beginner resellers where I was at the time.
Right, dude. That's very cool. So, and you talked about how you wear so many hats with all the different things that you do. So kind of explain to us, what is your typical, you touched on it earlier, what does your typical work week look like? And, how many hours do you kind of find yourself working a week sometimes, just to kind of, stay on track with what you're doing?
Yeah, it's super tough. So typically, let's say on a week with no sneaker releases, I would just be editing like 14 to 17 hours a day, including weekends. There's when it gets really, really bad though, The only breaks that I would be able to get is just when I'm eating my meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Those like are my only breaks. The rest of the time, I'm just editing. I'm making content. And then when there are sneaker releases, then obviously I would set up the day before, try to learn any new bots that I've acquired, and then go for it. Obviously, record myself, and then just right after that, keep on editing. The moment I publish a video, I move on to the next video.
Wow.
So it's really tough. And I can definitely make this better for myself if I hire an editor. But the issue with what I'm doing is that all my personal information is in my videos. So like my credit card numbers, my passwords, my emails, you can't really trust anybody with that kind of information.
It'd have to be, man. Even your best friend, you can't even hardly give it out to, man.
I gotta do everything myself.
That's tough. But you talked about like, so you just mentioned, I mean, that's an insane amount of editing. But you know, in order for you to do that, there has to be an element of enjoying it. But what do you kind of do to avoid burning out to make sure that it no longer becomes something that got you to where you are? It doesn't become something that you don't really want to even mess with anymore.
Yeah, it consumes you.
Yeah, it's really tough. I do experience burnout very often, and like it really messes with me like mentally, because like then my productivity levels go way down, and like I would find myself trying to do something that would take like maybe 30 minutes would take me like double that amount of time when I get into like my burnout episodes. It's really difficult. I haven't really figured it out yet 100%, but I always think to myself like this is way better than having a 9 to 5. Like
For
that's
sure.
the only thing that keeps me going. Like it's either this or I work a job for somebody else, and that's what keeps me going mostly.
Very cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what do you use for editing your videos, and how did you, I guess you kind of already talked on it, but how did you get so good at it?
So I use Sony Vegas Pro for laying everything out, and then I use Adobe After Effects for any motion graphics that I want to implement into my videos. So there is a gaming editing community, and these would be like super heavy edited like gaming videos. It's very difficult to describe it, but like the music syncs with all the visuals, and you would have like all these effects. So I was part of that community for a while, and so also that combined with the fact that I've been doing it for a really long time, allowed me to basically create anything that I envision. The only thing that I would say I don't know how to do is like 3D animation, which I don't think I'll be getting into anytime soon. But I think what I'm able to do is good enough for my job, basically.
Oh yeah,
I'd say more than good enough, arguably more than good enough. But yeah, for sure, and definitely. So, what would you say to those people? You mentioned about why you kind of do this, or that series at least, is for kind of the beginners. What would you say to some of those people who complain about resellers and just reselling in general, though?
Yeah, my argument is very simple. If Nike or Adidas, if they really want the real fans, air quotes, the real fans to have their sneakers, it's very easy to get around this and just make more sneakers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So why don't they? That's because the marketing and the hype nets them way more money than just producing infinite pairs. Like for example, off-white sneakers, everybody wants those. What's the issue with just restocking it and making like 1 million of them, right? They have like, and they basically have infinite money. They could do that if they wanted to. So I feel like the blame is being put on the wrong people, on the resellers. Like I'm a reseller, but if you want the sneakers, like for personal wear, trust me, I want you to have them, but at the same time, you got to do what you got to do to be able to acquire it. You can't, because a lot of people who complain, this is my speculation, is they would see that a sneaker release is coming up, and then they would try to enter it on the Nike sneakers app, maybe spend like 10 minutes of research, right? But resellers, they really, really, really get into this. They study super duper hard. They put money on the line. They invest in a lot of resources. They read, they test, they experiment, they go through all sorts of hoops just for a very small chance of being able to get the sneakers. Now, if you were to put these two people, I just common sense would make it so that the person who works harder to try to get the sneakers should get it more so than the person who spends 5 minutes like, oh, the sneaker is releasing, okay, I'm gonna try to go for it. Oh, took an L, great. Now I'm just gonna blame all the bots and resellers for my L.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's how I see it.
And especially, with the off-whites, and you can make cases for off-whites, for Yeezys, for Dior's and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you make mass quantities, that shoe will become less hype, and that's just a fact. That's just the way that it is. That's the way that things go. People want antique. People want rookie cards for like collections. People want autographed balls. If anyone could get their hands on it, it wouldn't be as valuable.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So, has your past of being a digital marketer and or studying in college for the small business management helped you with either reselling or creating and / managing YouTube?
For reselling, I wouldn't say it helped me that. I wouldn't say it helped me that much. I think when it comes to sneaker reselling in particular, unless you like own a store, right? But like the kind of sneaker reselling that I do is you just buy it, and then after that you sell it like whenever you feel like the price is right. It's really simple. So I think experience has more to do with being able to resell proficiently. But when it comes to YouTube and like learning how to monetize my platform, that definitely came in handy, because apparently a lot of YouTubers who have like way more subscribers than me and have been around the platform more, I get significantly more views and engagement than them. And if I had to take a guess, I also monetize better than them, simply because I know how to do it and from what I've learned over the years. So yeah, 100% that helped me. My education and experience helped me so much in being able to do YouTube full time.
Awesome. So we'll push the pause button on the reselling and stuff, and take a step over to, what would you say some of your, hobbies that you like to do when you aren't, copying shoes or editing and stuff like that? If you get a break, you work so much, but what are some things that you like to enjoy apart from shoes whenever you get that chance?
I like playing competitive shooters on PC, like Counter-Strike, more recently Valorant. I used to play a little bit of Modern Warfare, but it's not Modern Warfare is not that competitive in my opinion. That's for like console, but for PC, Counter-Strike and Valorant is the go-to right now. So yeah, I like chilling, playing video games. I'm not much of an exciting person. I just like hanging out and relaxing, because like there's just so much burnout. Like I'm an introvert, but I don't mind talking to people. So talking to people is like exerts like a lot of energy for me. I don't know if anybody can relate on a personal level.
I can see
but,
that.
Yeah. So I don't like going to parties and events, but but what I did used to do a lot was dancing. Like I used to be super heavy into the street dance community.
Ooh.
Really?
Because I grew up in an era where like that's the cool thing. Basically the music artists that were popping were like Chris Brown, Omarion, Usher, Michael Jackson. All these dudes knew how to dance, and so yeah, that's something that I've been doing for a really long time now. Actually,
that's real cool.
Do you still dance, or?
I do here and there, but I'm out of practice. But I remember back then, like it was something that I wanted to take very seriously. And then when I did take it super seriously, I was thinking to myself, I can't do this full time. Like it's just not that enjoyable to me. It's a passion, but there's some things where it's like, if you actually do it on a day-to-day basis, would you enjoy it? For me, that wasn't the case.
Right. And did you ever, you mentioned about the video games and stuff, did you ever even think about potentially streaming for video games and stuff like that? Because I know, that's a super common thing now, almost more prevalent than ever before. So I wondered if you ever, even considered the idea of just streaming some video games.
Yeah, I did try that before as well. So I tried like streaming like 7 to 8 hours a day over the course of maybe a month. I'm telling you that it was the same exact deal with that. I was bored. I was like, I can't do this. Like on the surface, it seems really cool. Oh yeah, you just hop on and play video games all day. I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's tough.
even though like I was a hardcore video game addict, I could not get myself to stream and enjoy it. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't for me.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's why there's not not everyone is a professional streamer. But
Even now, like
Mhm.
I tried streaming, and I do get like maybe 50, 70 viewers,
Mhm.
and it just every time I finish streaming, I feel like I just ran a marathon because I'm like trying to talk to
Oh, yeah.
everybody while at the same time being super duper focused and good at the game. It's very tiring. for me
Multitasking
personally.
skills got to be through the roof on that.
Yeah.
So we know that you've made tutorials and guides on your YouTube explaining about bots and reselling. But instead of asking you what is the best bot, we'd like to ask you what is the most consistent bot.
The problem with answering this question is that it changes
Mhm.
every time. If I give you an answer right now, it might be different.
Next week.
Mhm.
Yeah, next week or even tomorrow. But right now, if I had to take one name, it would be Kodai AIO. I don't know why it's just so consistent for me. Every time I use it, it's almost certain that I'm able to get at least one checkout. But there was this recent bot that I've gotten a hold of. It's called Palace Bot, and
Mhm.
literally, it's a cheat code because recently you can just if your proxies are really good,
Mhm.
you can just get as many pairs of whatever it is they're releasing on True Palace, and you're only limited to the amount of money that you have
Wow.
in a literal sense.
Well,
It's crazy.
sorry to cut you off, but I don't know if you've noticed or heard yet, but Shoe Palace actually is going to Shopify. And
it's rumored, but they actually did drop some sneakers
I
on
think
Shopify?
I think so. I think I was following the developer, and it looked like he was crushed. And but I mean
Right.
I think it is still all speculation.
I've copped a few manuals off Shoe Palace before, so those are honestly
Oh, yeah.
probably some of my proudest cops. I know. I mean, it wasn't
that's
even
tough.
anything crazy, man. It was just like I got some of the UNC women Jordan 1 lows that dropped, what
That's
was it,
good,
like a
man.
month and a half ago, and I've hit, court purples and stuff like that. But oh my gosh, man, it's only because I work at his family's gas station, and I sit there and I would just sit on that timer, man. And it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
not good for your mental
Rough.
health to sit there and click that button and watch the timer pop
Yeah.
up for 4 hours just to be able to check out one shoe. I would argue
Yeah,
it's
you deserve
not
that
worth
W,
it.
man.
Well, hopefully the Palace bot is. I mean, hopefully those rumors are false and the Palace boss is still cooking. But
The thing is, they did drop some items on their Shopify website,
Mhm.
but first of all, Shoe Palace never publicly said anything about,
yeah,
oh, we're gonna make the switch.
yeah, that's very true.
Like the way I see things is that you have to take everything with a grain of salt unless it comes directly from
Yeah, very true.
the
Yeah.
actual company.
Yeah.
And so far, they're still releasing sneakers there.
Mhm.
Tomorrow, they're going
Right.
to be restocking the Jordan 1 Tokyos. So
Right.
I'm going to go for that.
Sweet. So you mentioned on your 1,000 subscriber, which doesn't even seem that long ago, Q&A,
No, it wasn't.
yeah, that you were scammed actually from Void AIO. Could you tell us a little bit more about and maybe give some advice to others to avoid being scammed?
Absolutely. Void IO, I believe the bot was called, was a Nike sneakers bot. It was basically there was a point in, I believe, 2018 where Nike really cracked down on bots. So there were a lot of popular bots that kind of just disappeared into the darkness and left all their users hanging. But in a nutshell, for that particular situation, the only thing that's important to note, the only takeaway from that is not to buy or be very cautious with buying bots that literally just popped out of nowhere.
Mhm.
Like these bot companies can maybe spend $3,000 on a video marketing campaign that looks fantastic, I'm telling you, these videos will be like will make you like, oh man, I need that right now, and they're very very well done, the video advertisements. But it's very easy for newer bot companies with no faces behind the owners to just exit scam, because there's a lot of bots out there. The more popular ones are sold out, and it's impossible to get on a restock, or you have to pay thousands of dollars to get them.
Man.
So these newer bot companies are trying to exploit that. I'm not saying all new bot companies are malicious. I'm just saying be very careful. If you see a new one pop up and I haven't spoken about it, or reputable companies aren't associated with them yet, be very cautious with buying newer ones.
Oh yeah, it's always check feedback, always check reviews, make sure that there's at least some type of success. You know, bots should be posting that on their websites. You know, I see a lot of them post, you know, this is proof that it works or something like that. So don't just go for something out of the blue, for sure. But so actually moving forward from that, so if botting became illegal, you know, like it is with the ticket industry, you know, what do you think that you would do? Would you still try to do manual cops, or do you think you would just kind of pivot into a different interest?
I think what would happen is bot developers would try to find the technicalities in the law. So what exactly, when you say bots are illegal, well, we would try to look into it and see, okay, what is exactly illegal? Request-based bots? What about browser extensions, right? So how would you even be able to tell if it's a robot on the website? And that's the main thing about bots being illegal. I think it would be impossible to tell for companies, oh, was this a bot purchase or was this a manual purchase? So that's the main reason why I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But on the off chance that it does, bot developers and group owners and stuff will look into the technicalities and try to get around it to ensure success for their members.
There you go.
Exactly. And I think personally, this is just my opinion, but I think it's a company's due diligence. They try and do their due diligence to make it seem like they are concerned with, you know, we're trying to eliminate bots, but I don't think they're super interested in just wiping them out.
No.
They just want to be like, you know, we're trying to limit the number of bots that are used so that not everybody can use a bot, but they're more along the lines of just trying to come off as if they maybe care a little bit more, or at least show some concern just for the general public.
Yeah, it would make 100% sense, because if they just give off the fact that they do not care at all, then it's just bad business, bad PR for them. Everybody that supports that company would be upset, and that would be fair.
Yeah. So with the bot scene being so volatile, it seems like there's a new bot releasing every day. How would you determine when to invest in a bot?
From my personal take, I would just pay close attention to their success and who follows them, or like who's associated with them, who's using them, because there are some big names out there that would be able to test these bots before they release. So like if that person is reputable, then usually you could be like, oh, okay, this should be a safe program. And also if they have like good success posts, and not just any success posts, like the success posts need to be from sneakers that are hard to get, because anybody could come up with a Supreme bot and check out like bricks, basically. There's a bot out there that I'm not going to name. They have a really really nice video advertisement campaign, and then they're like, oh, look at all the success we're getting, and then I'm pausing the video to see what it is they're checking out, and it's things that are sitting on the website.
It's like socks.
I could do that with my hands. Why do I need a $130 program to do that for me for?
Yeah, that's straight false advertisement almost.
Yep. You got to make sure that the items that they are successful getting, that they're hype, and that they're actually hard to get. So that would be my personal tips.
That's awesome. So actually, this is something that I'm kind of curious, because I know that I actually fall into this category of whenever you're first getting into sneaker reselling and stuff like that, and me and him even talked about it whenever we first made our jump to start reselling shoes, I think a couple of years ago now, is, oh, you know, all we got to do is get a bot, man, and it's easy. We just run the bot and it's easy. But the beginners out there don't really understand that the work you kind of talked about, the work that goes into it. So what are some of the essentials that you need to either have mentally or be able to do research on or physically have to be able to use just a typical bot?
First of all, the whole misconception of, yeah, I'm gonna get a bot and get like infinity pairs. That you need to change your expectations for a bot. You have to expect to work basically like a part-time job hours for like very, very, very little pay, or maybe even losing money at first, if you're learning it. So first of all, the expectations need to be adjusted. You and that's part of like my YouTube channel. Like I show everything that happens. If I take an L, I'm gonna take an L. Like I have the best bots, but I don't take a W every single time.
Right.
And I want people to see that even if you have like a $5,000 bot, you are not going to take a W very easy. Like it's gonna be a lot of hard work. Also another thing before botting, there's, especially if you're not good with the computers, there is so much to learn. Like there's so much depth to it. Like you got to know about proxies, how you got to know about how Gmail works. You got to know about every single platform, like, and the different kind of platforms and how to optimize your. But it's a lot of stuff. So my recommendation to everybody is to join a cook group first, because that's where you're going to get everything. I have a lot of people messaging me, oh hey, how much for an hourly consultation for you to teach me how to bot? And I tell them all the time, hourly consultation is a waste of your money, because you can just get a cook group, which you pay a fixed monthly fee for, and you can have infinite consultations, and they'll tell you exactly where to go, how to set up, what websites are dropping. They'll help you get bots for retail price. They'll basically hook you up with everything that you need to know, guides, everything. So I would say you got to join a cook group first before you even consider getting into botting, because if you buy a bot and you have no idea what's going on, it's very likely that you're not going to make your money back.
Yeah. That actually flows right perfectly for our next question is, what do you look for when choosing a cook group?
Okay. First of all, it depends on what do you mean by choosing a cook group? Like,
well, there's just a bunch of groups
work.
out there. Yeah, I guess with there being so many, different cook groups out there, I feel like there's almost a new, like, people decide to form a new cook group almost every day.
Yeah,
they create through
100%.
Twitter and stuff like that. Like, what are some of the things that because obviously it's not as simple as, oh, I want to choose the top cook group and I'm just going to get into it.
Yeah,
No, it doesn't really work that way. But whenever you're looking for a cook group, what are some of the things whenever you get inside of one that you're going to want to look for first?
Well, first of all, you want to measure the first of all, the respect that they have for their members. A lot of the cook groups that I've trialed, when I trial, I mean like to see if I want to work with them, because in the past, this doesn't happen anymore because I own one now. But in the past, they would be like, oh hey, join our cook group, we want to work with you. So what I would personally look for is how well do they treat their members, because there's a lot of people out there that are like older folks that doesn't even know what Discord is. And if they can help train them to become proficient at reselling, then that's a huge plus. But there are some groups that I went into, their information is fantastic, absolutely crushing it. But then when it comes to the community and their staff members, super duper immature. They're not professional at all. They would leak like screenshots of like people who don't know what they're doing. Like, oh, I can't believe this guy asked this question. He's so washed. He's right. Like we've all been there. Come on now. Like the goal of the group is to help its members, not to like make fun of them. Like, what is that, right? So that's one of the main things I would say is like, how well do they treat their members? And that's something that's very underrated nowadays. A lot of people just go for hype, which isn't good. We need groups that are more professional, because people are putting a lot of money on the line, and you can't really play around like that. Definitely. So I would say how well they treat their members, but unfortunately, this isn't something that you can do research on until you're in there.
Right.
So
basically, that would just determine if you should stay with them or if you should, jump ship and look for somewhere else.
And another thing would be like how many opportunities they have for you to make money. Like the whole reselling thing is really tough, but other groups have like many other opportunities. Like they could get into card flipping, drop shipping,
Oh yeah.
brick flips,
Oh yeah.
tons of other stuff. So premium cook groups usually price $50 and up. Usually they would offer all of these. So even if you strike out on sneakers, you could still make tons of money by doing all the other stuff that they offer.
Definitely. So we're actually going to now flashback to our intro where we mentioned about Notify and how you actually just how did you become a co-owner of that, and also you can kind of explain just kind of what Notify is.
Sure. Notify is a premium private reselling group. I guess that is a good summary for people who aren't into like reselling terms. So it's a private group, and we tell people essentially how to start taking reselling seriously, especially getting into botting. So botting is very, very complicated. We try to ease our members into learning everything, because it is a lot of topics, and there are going to be questions from people who are brand new. So our staff members can handle all of that and try to explain to you everything. And we also have guides on how to cop from many different platforms and all the different bots. So that's essentially what a cook group is. We help you make money through buying and selling sneakers. That is our main purpose.
Awesome.
What was the other part of the question? Sorry.
Just kind of how
yeah.
you became a co-owner of it, because I know, like you said, you did mention that now you're part of your own cook group. I know you've said
Right.
you've been in other ones before. So what kind of led you to that opportunity to have a co-ownership?
Okay. Well, I've actually been part of Notify like ever since they started.
Okay.
I think in 2018, and I've been working with the owner Michael now for quite a long time. Ever since like I started my YouTube channel, they were one of the first people that sponsored my content, and we do want to expand into other regions. So so my reach in terms of YouTube and social media should be able to help with that, because I do get a lot of messages like, oh, what about a group for Asia? What about a group for this region and that region? So that's something that we kind of want to dabble into. So that's what we're going to be doing in the future. But as of right now, I'm more focused on like, how do I make the member experience better? Because oftentimes, if you go into a cook group, the amount of information you got to learn is absolutely overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like you would go into a Discord server, and there would be like seemingly hundreds of channels. Like, what? I got to study all of this. So I want to make it easier for the members. So that's basically what I'm doing. And as far as how I actually became a co-owner, it was very simple. Michael offered me, oh, hey, we have some big plans in the future, and we think you're part of the puzzle to be able to achieve our goals. Would you like to be co-owner? So I went ahead and accepted the offer.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, that's a
awesome,
big move for a premium
awesome.
cook group. Yeah. So since I guess starting botting or starting reselling, have you made any friendships with any other resellers?
Yeah, of course. Like I would say the main ones is from the Notify guys. Actually, now that I think about it, and what I'm talking about is like real life friends, because everybody can have like a bunch of internet friends.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not talking about them right now. However, I do have to say those should be valued as well. I'm not just saying like, oh yeah, internet friends are like, they don't count as friends, but I have made like a lot of connections. But as far as like vivid memories, I would say in episode 9 of Sneakers to Riches, I went over to the Notify Proxies guy, also known as the Judge. And I believe Michael was on vacation. Michael, the owner, the main owner of Notify, was on vacation. So he was staying at the Judge's house. And then they invited me over. So then I got to meet like the Judge, owner of Notify Proxies, Michael, owner of Notify, and then Glenn, I believe he's also a co-owner of Notify Proxies. And at the time, he was a developer for Project Destroyer. So that was an awesome experience. We did a live cop session at his house, and it was super duper fun. Those guys are great.
That's cool, man. That's real cool. So we're starting to wind down here. We'll go ahead and just ask this question. So how important is it, to have a support system like your fiance Joy, as your life as a reseller, and moreover as a content creator, with how busy you are, just kind of explain what that kind of means for you.
Yeah, it's really important, to be honest. Without her, I don't even know like where I would be, because before I started YouTube, I was like, all right, babe, I need to do something with my life. So I have two ideas. I'm either gonna do Amazon or I'm gonna do like YouTube. And she was like, you know what, just do YouTube. It's a great idea. So I went ahead and did it. And she does help me a lot with some of the things that I do. But yeah, support system, very, very important. But I'm more of like a work on my own kind of guy. So I'm I'm not I don't form as many connections, and I don't like how do I say this? I don't care too much if people support me or don't support me, because my my mom at the time, like a few years ago, I was trying to show her like the big picture, like, dude, I'm not gonna work a job my whole life, and she just didn't get it. So I'm used to not getting like support from family members and stuff like that. So but now she does support me, being that I did make it. So so
That's cool, man.
um
I
so
can relate
that's
to that feeling because I actually, my family is full of teachers, and I actually dropped out of college my junior year to come and do this full time. So I'm in the midst of that transition stage as well, and
yeah.
I can understand whenever you have. I was actually on track to be a teacher and a coach, and whenever I told my parents that I was going to stop paying money for college and start putting my money to better use, doing something else that was and let alone move halfway across the United States to do that,
Yeah.
it's one of those
It's
topics
crazy.
that is just this newer generation compared to the older generation
Yeah.
is something. There's kind of a disconnect there for that, for
Right.
sure.
They mean the best for you, and I know they mean the best for me as well. But it's just a matter of, if you have to, just separate yourself from the negative energy and just work on your own thing until you're successful, and then you can revisit that. And you don't have to like rub it in their face like, I told you, right? Like, I would love
Go flex on your
it's
family,
kinda
right? Got to go flex
sweet
on your
revenge,
family.
There
right?
you go.
But it's but it is what it is. I know they just want the best for their family, their
Yeah.
other family members. So
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
cool.
So this is one of the second to last questions of the podcast. Is if you could choose, who should we have on next?
Ooh, next podcast.
Yeah, next
Yeah,
episode.
just anyone that's normally people answer that question with anyone that's helped them along the way, or anyone that thinks that they'd like to do this or,
Or learn
promote their
more.
own business,
Yeah.
stuff like that, for sure.
Right. Okay. So I would choose somebody who's super duper interesting and has really helped me in many ways throughout my reselling and YouTube journey. Is this guy? His name is Swayze, or Swayze or Sways. I don't know how I would pronounce it, but I call him Sways. He owns many businesses. His knowledge in basically anything business related is so diverse, and he's a good teacher, he's a good speaker. And his at the time, the way I met him was through a cook group. He was one of the main staff members of the very first cook group that I joined, and that's basically how I met him. And I've worked with him in the past. So yeah, I would say him. He's really good at talking. He knows so much about bots, and he knows the technical side of things. And he's not just like a huge nerd too. Like he's out there in Chicago.
Okay.
So a real super duper interesting guy, and he's great at speaking, and he's great at motivating people. So if I had to pick one guy to be on the podcast, somebody that I would want to listen to, it would be him.
Awesome, man. Thank you for that. And before we run our outro now, we're going to give you this chance. If there's anything you want to promote or anyone you want to promote, or just kind of plug your own stuff, is there anything you want to shout out or anything before we wrap this up?
Sure. First of all, when is this going to be published?
It's going to be posted Friday. Yeah, this Friday.
Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So for now, if you have no idea who I am, you want to figure out what botting is all about, you want to know about the operations of a reseller and a botter, check me out, youtube.com/botterboynova. My content is very easy to digest, even if you're not very technically adept or you're bad with computers. It's an easy watch. And also, if you want to get into reselling, you want to start doing botting, check out Notify, twitter.com/notify.
Absolutely, man. And we'll be sure to plug all of that in the show notes for sure. But for now, that's actually going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you again to Nova for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this interview with us. If you like this episode, please feel free to follow and show your support by liking, following, subscribing to whichever platform that you're listening to. But thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.